Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be programming a simple conversation with Alexa using Alexa skills and Python. It is expected that you have some basic knowledge of programming to develop an Alexa skill, and it is not necessary to have an Alexa device with you as we'll be using an emulator to run and test our skills. So before jumping into creating a skill, we are going to discuss what are these skills and why are we even choosing Alexa. Like there are other competitors in the market like Google Home, Siri, Cortana, but what makes Alexa so special? To know that, we have to discuss what are these skills first. Alexa skills are like app in mobile phone. So let's say we have an Android phone and we can install multiple apps from Play Store or any third party store. Similarly, Alexa is also a platform which has some predefined feature out of the box, but there are skills which can be added to it to give it a all new sort of abilities. These skills are voice driven and can be developed as per user need. Alexa has an open source developer community and third party connectivity, which Google Home or any other voice assistant lacks. Though competitors are trying hard, but Alexa has over 1 lakhs of skills in its store and most of them are free. Now let us see how does Alexa works. Once the device is plugged in, it starts to listen and wait for the command to be triggered. We trigger this command by saying Alexa. The Echo device has a speaker, a set of microphones and a small computer to send our audio signals, control the light and speak out the response. Alexa uses multiple microphones to gain better audio quality. Once it has been triggered, it records and sends our query to the cloud server. Received signals are then converted to text using speech recognition. The converted text is then sent for the processing to the Lambda function, which is the heart and soul of this whole process. You might encounter some jargons over here like intent classification and entity extraction. Just hold on these terms for a minute as we'll be discussing it later. This Lambda function generates an output based on the user input and sends it for the conversion to speech. The converted audio file is received by Alexa and is played via Alexa speakers. This is the whole process and the flow of how Alexa works. We talked about some technical terms such as intent classification and entity extraction in our Lambda function. But what are these things? To explain it, we'll take an example of a statement here, which is Alexa, ask weather report, how is the weather in Gurgaon? For now, consider we have a skill named weather report, which on requesting a location's weather, gives detail about that particular location. This particular statement or dialogue can be broken down to subsets, which will define all the technical terms that we saw earlier. The whole statement can be termed as dialogue. We have already seen the wake word, which is Alexa, which when triggered starts to process our input. Followed by the wake word, we enter the name of our skills, which is also termed as invocation. And this invocation helps Alexa to understand what skill are we looking for. Coming to intent. Intent is defined as user's intention to what user is requesting. Say in this statement, when users say, how is the weather? It is clear that the user wants to know about weather. Now the question comes that user wants to know the weather of which location. Now to create the uniqueness, we use something called as entities. Entities are the data that needs to be extracted from the dialog. In case of Alexa, these entities are also termed as slots. One thing we need to keep in mind that a single skill can have multiple intents. A single intent can have multiple dialogues, and a single dialogue can have multiple slots.
So now we created our flow in which we will be moving on while creating our Alexa skills. So we'll start with creating our flow diagram, which is in a way how our chat will be going on with Alexa. While creating a flow diagram, we need to keep in mind that it should be interactive. So Alexa should be asking us some questions and we should be replying it back. That's how we can keep the user engaged. So here is a example of a chat flow which we are going to make right now. So user will start by saying Alexa open laughter club, where Alexa will be the wake word and laughter club will be the invocation name or the skill name. In response to that, Alexa will be replying with something. It will be replying with, hey, welcome to laughter club. Can I know your good name? Now user will be providing this name, which is, yeah, sure, my name is Anil. Or let's say he can only say by saying Anil. In response to that, Alexa will be replying with, hey Anil, hope you are doing good. Would you like to listen to a joke? Now for this question, user might respond with a yes or no. So in case of yes, Alexa will be fetching a joke from an API and will be providing it to user. In case of no, Alexa will stop the chat by saying, okay, no problem. Let me know if you are interested in one. So now one thing we need to keep in mind while creating any skills, that whatever user will say will respond to an intent. So here there are three statements still which user can say, which will be the first, Alexa open laughter club. Second is he will be telling his name, and the third will be either yes or no. So there are four statements. Now we need to create four intents for user. Once we are done with the chat flow, second step is creating user statements, for which we need to go to our Google Chrome. We will be typing here Alexa developer console. You need to have an Amazon account to access this. Once you are successfully logged in, you can see that there are no skills as of now because we haven't made any. But if you are having any pre-existing skills, it will be available over here. Now we'll click on create skills. We'll enter the name of our skill, which will be laughter club, because we are going to say Alexa open laughter club. Now we need to select a language. I will select English India. And one thing we need to keep in mind while selecting the language is that the same language should be present on our Echo device also. For this case, we will be using emulator, so it won't be necessary. But while you are testing it on your Echo device, you need to have the English language set as exact the skill language which you have selected. And we'll create a custom skill, and for the backend we'll be using Python, and yes, create skill. Now there are three default skill templates in which we can start making our skill, but for the simplest one is the hello world skill, because we want to create a whole custom range of intent and entities. So we'll be continuing with our hello world skill. If you have any other skill, you can import also, which will be available on Alexa AWS. So we'll be continuing with this template, and this will take a couple of seconds. So once our skill is ready, it takes around a minute to make our screen ready for the skills. We will be having some interface like this, and now we will start with our first statement, which was Alexa open laughter club. Now this is an invocation. So for this, you can see on your left hand side there is an invocation tab. You click on it, you will see the skill invocation name. So we don't want to change it, we want to leave it as it is. So we'll be using it after club only. Save. Now our first statement is done. Launch intent. This will be a launch intent which we'll be describing while we'll be describing the response from Alexa. So the first user statement is done, which is just the starting the skill. Second statement for the user is that he'll be saying his name. But in case of name, it is just not a hard fix that it can be only Anil or your name. It can be multiple names. So we will be adding the entities for the name, which is slots as already mentioned. there are no slots, we will add slot type, and there are slots also, but we are going to create our custom. We'll create a name. Now we are going to add some values. So let's say our first name is Anil. Now, yeah, you can also see there are some suggestions. So we're going to add. So these are some Indian names which are there in AWS database. So it's showing up. We have added around 6 to 7 names. Now this is sufficient for this. You can add as many as you want. As already told, the more the data, the better the model. Now you will save the model. Right now we won't be building it. We will be building the model once we have our intents also. Now we'll be going to interaction model, and there are intents. So as you can see, there are some by default intents which are required, except the one which is hello world intent, which we don't need. So we'll be deleting this, and we're going to save again. So every time you bring some changes, it's a good habit to save your skill. Now we're going to see our flow diagram, which is the user saying is, yeah, sure, my name is Anil. So we'll be creating an intent which will be named as name intent. Now, as similar to the entities, there are some predefined intents also, which we will be using after some time, because one statement is left for the user, and we'll be using the predefined intents in that. So, and the bottom part you can see intent slots. So we will be using name, and we'll be selecting type as name. Now we are good to go. So the first statement which the user will say is, yeah, sure, my name is Anil. So we type, yeah, sure, my name is, okay. You don't need to enter the, and while entering the slot, you just need to open the braces, name, and it's done. So my first statement will be, yeah, sure, my name is, plus the any of the entity value. So in this case, Anil, Siddharth, Mohit, anything which we have entered. Now there are some other ways also which user can say, which is just entering the name. So we're entering the name, and it can say it is name. So 3 statements are good, and we'll save our model. Now, till here we have described our user flow. Now, in response to this, Alexa will be saying something which we will be describing when we will be describing the Alexa responses. But now user can say yes or no to the question asked by Alexa, which is, would you like to listen to a joke? So as already mentioned, we will be using some default intents, which is yes, and we're going to add that intent. Then user can also say no. So we're going to add the intent. So if you see our intents tab, these are the intents which we have added, in which these top 4 intents are required and should not be edited for good practice. Name intent is what we are adding, and we have given 3 utterances and used 1 slot here. As already mentioned in the tutorial, we told that one single instance intent can have multiple utterances, and one utterance can have multiple slots. Now here the user part is done. So we are done with this part also of creating user intents. And now the third part is creating Alexa statements, in which we will be using some coding. So let's switch back to this. Now we save our model and we build our model. So it will train our skill on the basis of the statement which we have entered and the intents which we have provided. This will again take a couple of seconds. You can see the full build is successful. Now we will be switching to our code part. So this is our Lambda function, and you can see that there are a couple of classes used already, which are the intents which were by default present in our skill. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind that every time you add an intent, you need to add a class to this lambda function. This class inherits some pre-existing class of ask SDK, which is request and exception handler. Majority of the time you will be dealing with request handler. So the best way to do is to start and write the code. One more thing is, once the intent handler has been defined, the class of that particular intent has been defined, we need to add it to the skill builder. So skill builder is like a router, which you can also see here, it's clearly mentioned. The skill builder objects acts as entry point for your skill, routing all the requests and responses. So I'll show you how to do that. But first we'll be starting with the launch intent, which is Alexa open laughter club. So once the user says Alexa open laughter club, this will be coming into this launch request handler every time. So what to do is, this speak output is the variable which Alexa will be speaking. So right now it is mentioned welcome, you can say hi or hello or help. Which would you like to try? We don't want this, so we will be deleting this whole stuff over here. And our statement is, hey, welcome to laughter club, can I know your good name? So we'll be mentioning, hey, welcome to laughter club, can I know your good name? And the push button. So now we have done with the Alexa's first response. So as it will handle, as it comes in the launch request, it will be giving this output as welcome to laughter club and can I know your good name? Every time you make a change, save it. Right now you don't need to deploy it. Now the second statement is, the Alexa will be seeing the response as yeah sure, my name is Anil, which it is gonna face as in the name intent. We're going to define our own class as name intent handler, and this will inherit this existing class of abstract request handler. Now in this class there will be two functions. One is which will be detecting the intent, and one is which will be generating the output. First we will be defining the function which is going to handle our input, which is the same which is given over here. You can copy paste also. Let us copy paste this, and because we are going to write the same thing except one change, which is it is handling for the hello world intent, but we want it to handle for name intent. So this function is now going to handle our name intent handler, and we're going to define another function same which handles now this function is going to generate a response which will be, hey Anil, hope you are doing good, would you like to listen to a joke? So we're going to use something called slots over here, which we have defined earlier. So we'll be defining slots. So whenever a request input is being made to Alexa, it fetches it in a form of JSON response, and the output which is given to us is also in a form of JSON response. So in that particular JSON, we will be having a value which is slots, and that slots value we need to extract, which is going to be in the form of, if the our handler input is the JSON we are getting, in that it is request envelope, and in that again there's a request of intent, and for that particular intent we want slots. We saved our slot with the name of name, so we're going to fetch the same slots name. You can find this the same thing in the documentation of the Alexa as well. Now we're going to write our output, which is, hey Anil, hope you are doing good. Hey, I'm going to use string concatenation over here. Feel free to use the format method. Hope you are. So our speak output variable is ready. Now you might be seeing here that there's a dot ask over here. What this dot ask is, if you added this to the code, Alexa will be expecting some output from the user. If you remove this, Alexa will stop the skill and won't be expecting anything. So you restart the skill again to access all the intents and everything. So what we are going to do, we are not going to stop our conversation over here, and we will be adding a reprompt, which is, if the user does not respond in 8 seconds, Alexa will be saying, hey, are you interested in a joke? And we're going to add the same thing over here. So our name intent handler is also good to go. We're going to save it because we have brought some changes. Now, one thing I told earlier, you need to add your intent handler class to the skill builder, which will route the request to its specific class. So I'm going to add it over here, which is sp.add request handler, and our class name. Perfect. So after completing this, Alexa, we have generated the output as, hey Null, hope you are doing good. Would you like to listen to a joke? Now user will be saying yes or no, and on the basis of yes, we will be using an API. And if the user says no, Alexa will be saying no problem, let me know if you are interested in one. For this, we will be using two classes, which is yes intent and no intent, which we have used Amazon by default intents. Same process, we'll be defining two class for this one. Let's just copy this class which we made, name intent. So as you can see, this is two, and we'll be naming it yes intent handler, and this will be the no intent handler. In place of name intent, we are going to face Amazon dot no intent. So now this function will be redirected whenever there is a no intent, and next will be similarly in the upper part we'll be giving it for the Amazon dot yes intent. So let's rename this Amazon dot sorry for the typo. Now first we have a simple output for no, so we will be using the no output, which is going to be We're going to remove this one, and the output is okay, no problem. Let me know if you are interested in one. So just speak output. Okay. Now here we are going to stop our conversation. So we don't need this. We'll be removing this. And our no intent handler is ready. Now coming to the yes intent part. In yes intent, we're going to use a request to fetch an API, and for that we'll be going to use this particular link. This link will be provided in the description below. So when you hit that request, so you get a joke. Here it is: ask a silly question, get a silly ANSI. So it's a joke related to programming, and we're going to now there's a catch over here also, that the joke which we will be getting will be either a single joke or a double joke. So in this case it is a single joke, as you can see, type single, but sometimes it gives a double joke also. Let us see. Yeah, this is two part. What is the best prefix for global variable? The delivery is double slash. Okay, so we need to keep in mind for this request also. Let's just copy this URL. It will be given in the description box below, and here we are going to remove this. So for the URL, we have got this URL. We need to import some Python classes, which is JSON, and one more is requests. Now we will be requesting this URL to get it. So for response, we are getting requests dot get, and we're going to save that response to a JSON format. Now we're going to see if the response type is of two part or a single. So for if it is two part, just add the setup plus delivery. If it is single, just give the first response. So if response I'm going to use the bracket one, because type is a Python predefined function. So we're going to be safe side, taking the safe side. Then I have a speak output, which is response setup, and then we will be closing it using this, giving a space, and start the second part, which is response delivery. Let me cross check it. It is setup, it is delivery. Perfect. So our two response has been created. Otherwise it's going to give a single response, and we're going to handle it in the form of speak output response, and that is going to be a single joke. Now let us see over here if it was joke only. Yeah, so you can see if the type is single, we'll be receiving a joke. And now we are again going to stop the conversation over here, because the Alexa had already told him a joke, and we're going to stop the conversation right over here. Again, one thing we need to do, we need to add it to the skill builder, otherwise it won't be routing our request. So sp.add request, same thing, using yes handler, and we'll be getting we'll be adding the no handler also. And we will save it. Now if we are going to see our skills, we are done with the user responses earlier. Now we are done with the Alexa responses also. So after that, the fourth step is the testing. We're going to test our skill. Okay, there's some issue over here, so it will be envelope, not enveloper. Let's save it again, and we're going to deploy our skill. It will again take a couple of seconds. So the deployment is successful and our skill is now ready to be tested. Now you can see on the top part beside the code there's a test which is going to redirect to the emulator which I was talking about. Right now the test is disabled for the skill. We're going to put it into development phase. This emulator is exactly like Alexa. The only difference between this is we don't need to start with the invocation of Alexa. So post Alexa, anything which we are going to say, we are going to type it here, going to speak it via microphone also. So let us start by saying open laughter club. This should start the launcher intent, and you can see it is, hey, welcome to the laughter club, can I know your good name? Now I would like to say direct name Mohit, to see what response it gives. It gives, hey Mohit, hope you are doing good, would you like to listen to a joke? And this time I'm going to say yes, I would like to listen to a joke. Okay, so it is going to give us a joke. Now let us test it.
Your mama is so fat, you need to switch to NTFS to store a picture of her.
Okay, so this was a joke from Alexa. Now let us again refresh this link and try by saying that no, I don't want to listen to a joke. So again we'll start with open laughter club, and this time we're going to say the thing which we have mentioned in the slides. So,
hey, welcome to Laughter Club.
okay,
Can I know your good name?
so it is, yeah sure, my name is Anil. Let's go with that. Yeah sure, my name is Anil. Let us see what does it say.
Hey Anil, hope you are doing good. Would you like to listen to a joke?
This time I'm going to say no, I don't want to listen to any joke. So
Okay, no problem. Let me know if you are interested in one.
so this is it. The same response you will be getting on the Echo device also, and which you are getting on this emulator. Now one thing I would like to show you is on the right side you can see the JSON input 1 and JSON output 1. These two JSON files are responsible for every input to Alexa and every output to Alexa. If you scroll down to the bottom part of this, you can see there's the request which is intent request, in which it will be fetching our intent, and in the my last input was no, so it has detected no intent, and according to that here my response has been generated, which is okay, no problem, let me know if you are interested in one. So this is all about creating skills in Alexa. You can define your own skills, create your own skills, and if you see about the process, we are done with the flow diagram. We created user statements, we created Alexa statements, we tested our skills, and it's working fine. Now it's your turn to define your own skills. What I want you guys is to comment down below what skills you wanted to make. Present your ideas to us, and we will be choosing one of the best idea which is there, and we'll be creating skill based on that. Till that time, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to DAAS Labs, and stay tuned for more informative and awesome contents. Thank you for watching.